Morning everyone, welcome to Llanddulas on what can only be described as an absolutely glorious autumn mid-late October morning. We're going to go for a little walk around the village of Llanddulas, which is 2 or 3 miles to the east of Colwyn Bay and similar amount of distance to the west of Abergele. So let's get weaving. Oh, by the way, it's an A55 walk, a la that right there. I wonder where that gate once went. I did look for photographs of this area from the time before the A55 was built on the internet, but I couldn't find any. If anyone watching this, one of my 3 regular viewers, has any photographs, I would be very much obliged. A lot of those up there, those small buildings, were holiday chalets. We'll be going for a walk up there in a minute, because I'm about to mention a chap called Evelyn Waugh. That's where people pull off the A55 to grab some petrol. Yeah, Evelyn Waugh, famous novelist, best remembered for his novel Brideshead Revisited, but his first novel, Decline and Fall, was written about his experiences here as a teacher at a place called Arnold House in 1925. From January 1925 to July 1925 was the period, was his first job actually, I think, out of Oxford University. His first job teaching here wasn't a great experience for him, I don't think, but he did turn it into a bit of a comic novel. He may have come here at other periods as well, or visited briefly, it's not clear. Over there used to be the site of the Fairview Inn. I think it got closed down around 2017. By about 2021 this block of, I believe, 24 apartments was built. But in his book Decline and Fall, I think Evelyn Waugh described the Fairview Inn as Mr. Roberts's pub. There actually was it a TV series or a film based on Decline and Fall that was shown on the telly? Gosh, I'm going to say some 20 years ago, but I could be wrong. I'll look it up when I get back in and just type something up on your screen now, if I can find the info. Pencoed Road, the old Arnold House school where Evelyn Waugh worked for the first 7 or so months of the year 1925 is up here. It's a bit of a walk, but we'll plod on. Speaking of Evelyn Waugh, there's a really odd, I haven't seen it for years on the television actually, but a bit of a strange film called The Loved One, made in 1965 in black and white, I think. And it's about I think a Los Angeles funeral directors, and it's a really odd film. But if you ever get a chance to watch it, it's certainly worth watching. Minffordd Road, up there. It's up here on the right, I think, at the stone building is where the Bethesda chapel was, where another person I'm going to mention, Valentine, attended church there, and I think he and his father, Samuel Valentine, preached there. I'm not going to go up there and have a look at it because it's been converted into a private residence, so I don't want to you know, stand outside someone's house filming them on my mobile and the police get called. I get taken in for questioning, then they realise I'm just a local idiot and let me go, hopefully. It's turning into a bit of a hilly walk again, this here. It's the site of an old stone mansion called Plas Dulas. The likes of Evelyn Waugh and apparently some other well-known celebrities from back in the day were said to have stayed here. Being knocked down now, sadly, but if I can find an old photograph of it, I'll put it up. I'm assuming that this is now being designated, there we go, up on the wall. I'm assuming this site now has been designated for building. I think the locals did try to save the building, but unfortunately were unsuccessful. Oh, it's quite a steep hill, this. It eventually takes you up to Llanddulas. And we're at turn the camera round time again, which will hopefully give you some kind of indication of how steep this road is, Pencoed Road. In fact, I think Evelyn Waugh used to moan about this road as well, saying it was a never-ending Welsh hilly lane or something like that, I can't remember. Flip. Keeping it in flip mode, I think this picture here gives you an idea of the steepness of this road. On the plus side, the further you get away from the A55, obviously, flipping heck, a bus comes up here. The further you get away from the A55 and its noise and racket, the nicer it gets. Apologies for the heavy breathing, but it is a steep hill. I am really loving these autumn colours today. Absolutely spectacular. Thought this road was being named after a chocolate then. This is where we've come from. And we continue up here, but thankfully we're not too far away now from Arnold House School, which I remember in the 1980s as a bit of a nightclub. You could go there and play snooker. I think they used to put turns on, you know, people playing live music, etc. now and then. It was quite a nice little venue actually. There, here we are. Part, at least, of what was Arnold House School. And to go for a walk down to the pub after a no doubt hard day's teaching. I'm sure that Evelyn Waugh would have been more than familiar with this steep road. I'm back in flip the phone over mode now, just to show you again the continued steepness of this road, which takes us up to Llanddulas eventually. Anyway, let's go and have a look at Arnold House, if we can. You can't beat a nice stone wall, can you? I suppose Evelyn Waugh could have gone this way down to the pub of an evening, but I'm not sure it's any less steep. Let's just have a look at the view while we're up here. Look at that, eh? Okay, so you can see the old windmills there out at sea. Anyway, I'll take a quick look at this. I am aware now that it's a private residence, so I don't want to go impeding on anyone. I'll take a quick look. I can see no evidence anywhere that this was Arnold House School. There looks to be a plaque or something there, but I'm not going to go walking into someone's private property. Don't know if you can just make it out there below that box sticking out by the door. But I'm not going to go walking into someone's property just to take a look at a plaque. Okay, so we could head back down now into Llanddulas, but somebody popped into my mind. It's going to mean another, oh God, a few minutes walk up some steep inclines to a small little collection of miners or quarrymen's, really, terraced houses called Pentregwyddel. And that is where Welsh international footballer, yeah, found a way to put some football into this video, Billy Morris was born. So we'll carry on and take a look at the area. We're coming up to some other lovely views now, and we're nearly in Pentregwyddel, thankfully. We are approaching the Llanddulas quarry, which I mentioned in my previous Rainbow Bridge walk. Oh, can't go in there, it's private. Oh, there you go then. It's still a working quarry in places. Down there somewhere, if I can get a better picture of it, I will. That was part of the quarry there, slightly flooded. The Dillas Arms pub behind it now turned into a residence, I believe. Someone did tell me, and this could be absolute rubbish, that the plan over the next 100 years or so is to fill these unused parts of the quarry with waste and then eventually build houses on them. So if you're watching this video in 150 years time, listening to this old man who's now long gone, and you're living in a house on there, hello from the past, 2025. Yoo-hoo! Nearly at Pentregwyddel now, just to the brow of this hill. Here we are. We have a far better view. It's really nice up here again. I know I keep saying it, but you know, we are lucky, those of us who live in North Wales. But don't tell everyone. Let's keep it our secret. Over there, Ross-on-Sea, the Little Orme, and behind it you can just make out the Great Orme. All right, you got the message, son. Keep it. Now that sign says Llysfine. I would say that that is technically incorrect, because as far as I'm aware, we are now about to enter the small collection of old quarrymen's terraced cottages known as Pentregwyddel. You can just make out there one of the refuse wagons having a clean as it comes out from the quarry that's now used as a tip. Can you see it? Which it has to go under this road, under a tunnel, and come out this side here somewhere. Oh, and this is all part of the quarry, I think. Comes out of the tunnel down there, drives up there. So it is an area tucked away of industrial action. Providing jobs. Ooh. A nicely new tarmacked road. You don't get many of them to £1 these days, do you? Ooh. Wonder where that goes. Might go for a walk up there one day. Public footpath. And there we are. Pentregwyddel is mentioned. Pentregwyddel Terrace. And more old terraced quarrymen's cottages there. For me, Llysfine starts further up that road and further up that road. But hey ho, this is Pentregwyddel. We'll now walk back down and I'll mention B. Morris to you all. Yes, if you're a Burnley fan, the likelihood is possibly an older Burnley fan. You will more than likely know who Billy Morris is. Dog, dog, dog. A star footballer just after the war, began his career before the war, but like so many of that generation of players, he was probably cut off in his prime, wasn't he? I think he received commendations for his bravery as well during the war. But before the war, I think he played for Colwyn Bay, Llanddulas, and then I think he did sign for Burnley, but then war broke out. After the war, back to Burnley, became a big hero at that club. I'm going off memory now, so I could be a little bit out, but I think he played in the 1948, was it? Burnley-Charlton FA Cup final. Back then, of course, you've got to remember that the FA Cup final was a big thing. I'd say it was probably up there with how people think about the Champions League final now. It was absolutely massive. Got capped by Wales as well, Billy. And later on he went on to be manager at Wrexham, I think around 1960-ish. Something in my brain cell also tells me that he was manager at Wrexham, he left and then went back as manager, but that could be completely wrong. The old noggin these days isn't what it was, memory wise. And the first time, or when he did leave Wrexham as manager around 1960-61, he actually then went and helped Colwyn Bay Football Club out because they were going through a bit of a difficult period at the time, finance wise, and he helped the club get its finances back in order, really. In the 80s, possibly 90s, I used to take my mum sometimes down to the shopping centre in Colwyn Bay. My mum's a Lisbon girl, so she knew Billy, and Billy would more often than not be there in the Colwyn Bay shopping centre, sitting there talking to people, having a laugh. And he'd always talk to my mum, and my memory of him is that he was a really nice chap, actually, nice convivial guy. He was thought the world of by people around here. Now, what I've told you about Billy Morris there is just off the top of me head. I'm sure you can go and Google him and find out more. And I think there used to be a Facebook page dedicated to Billy Morris. I don't know if it's still there. I'm not the world's biggest social media watcher, looker. And of course, Billy Morris was the uncle of Elved Morris, who you've heard me talking about in my Lost Grounds of Colwyn Bay Football Club videos. So take a look at them as well, if that interests you. It might not, and that's fair enough. Ooh, we're walking back down now. Lovely jubbly. I'll mention Evelyn Waugh again towards the end of this video, just coming back to him for a moment, but the next few moments I'm going to be mentioning another very well-known person, particularly if you have an interest in Welsh social history, politics, etc., who was brought up round here. A gentleman called Lewis Valentine, founder, or one of the founders of Plaid Cymru. Its first leader, was he? Some say its first joint leader. And something that I didn't know about Plaid Cymru, and I'm not going to get into politics here at all, but something I didn't know about them is they were initially formed, so I believe, if I'm wrong, feel happy to tell me, to preserve the Welsh language, as opposed to being some kind of political force. But like I said, if I'm wrong, feel free to tell me. Walking back down now, I've just had a nice chat with some chaps that were going into Arnold House here, as I call it. There is a plaque where I thought there was one. I did ask if I could go and take a photograph of it, but they said they'd rather I didn't, so I respect that. That's fair enough. There is a chap who has an Evelyn Waugh website that I did briefly take a look at last night. I did see a kind of a photograph of a small plaque thing on his website. So what I'll do when I get in, I'll go and have a look, and I'll put a photograph up of the plaque that he took. It's nice to be walking downhill and past these beautiful autumn colours again. So much easier, isn't it, going downhill? Back to Llanddulas village centre, he said in a robotic voice. Never noticed that on the way up. Look at those gorgeous colours. And here, more lovely colours. I've got this bush in my back garden actually. Autumn harvest of apples. Is scrumping still a thing like we used to do when we were kids? And here we are, coming back into the village centre. I am quite surprised how busy this road is actually, going up to Pentregwyddel, Llanddulas. But there again, I suppose it's a bit of a scooch up there to Llanddulas, which is quite a big place actually. There's the old British Legion I mentioned, and nice to see the flags are up, flags that were put up before the current trend for hanging flags hither and thither.